What's up, y'all? It's your girl Kay back with part 2 of my coming out story time. If you're watching this, you've probably seen part 1. And I promised you that I would bring part 2 of this story because it is crazy. And judging from the comments from the people that have even told me in person, this is something that's resonating with more people than I thought it was. And oh man, it's just been a crazy ride since we dropped it. So welcome back. If you haven't seen part 1, just go into the description box below because it'll be linked there. I think you should watch it just so you have a little bit more context and understand what is going on, because I'm just going to pick up where we last left off. But nonetheless, let's just get into part 2. Now, watching back part 1, I realized that there were a lot of things that I missed touching on, a lot of things I didn't mention, and honestly, just this whole process has really forced me to dig really deep and pull these memories back out. And I will do my best to fill you in a little bit more about what I was going through with this organization. And honestly, if you want a full story time and like breakdown of what my cult experience actually looked like, comment down below, because it honestly can stand alone on its own story time. And I just want to keep this storyline going for you so that you understand the journey. So with that being said, I'm gonna do my best. Watching it back, after watching it back, I could see how triggered I was just from like my face and my body language. This was hard to relive, I'm not gonna lie, and we're now really getting into the thick of it. So thanks for being here, and let's just get into it. So I left off with telling you that I finally found the type of girl that I was attracted to, that I was interested in. And I also mentioned that, you know, we did end up going on a date. This was the first date I ever went on with a girl. Obviously, I was still closeted at the time and very much in the church, so like no one knew that this was happening. But nothing transpired from that, but it was the door that opened this passageway into the community. And again, it was just a moment that changed my life forever. Now, because no one knows that I'm having these experiences and these feelings, it's getting increasingly difficult to just like keep playing it cool. And I'll tell you why at this time. So we're about 1 year in now, living on campus with the sister's household, you know, just finished first year. I'm still working and all that good stuff. And slowly, as I started working at American Apparel, I started to develop new friends that were of the world and also of the community. So this was a true introduction into the social scene that would later come. But I'm still also trying to maintain this, you know, facade of just like being spiritually healthy in their eyes and like not letting on that this is something that I'm struggling with. Otherwise, once you get that target on your back, y'all, it's over. Like, I've already explained how much surveillance there already is. So the second they whiff something out that is like not compliant, they're coming for you. in some way or another. A talking to, heart to heart, which I'll explain a little bit later, where yeah, it's like an interrogation, and like worst case scenario, you can be like kicked out and like excommunicated pretty much. So I'm just trying to keep it cool, you know? Meanwhile, now that my imagination is all the way peaked, I'm on my laptop, you know, because I'm so ignorant to everything. I'm on YouTube, I'm reading articles, like I'm in there, like just trying to figure out what's going on and like understand, and then like immediately deleting my browser history, because if, you know, someone uses my laptop and then they see I've been searching all this LGBT stuff, it's a problem. So I'm trying to, you know, also be like slick about the way that I'm, you know, acquiring my information. And again, I'm starting to make more and more friends in the LGBT world. Aside from the crock pot on full blast now, just bubbling, all right, I'm also starting to like emotionally and mentally and spiritually pull away from the church. I started to see a lot of shifts in the church, in my campus ministry that I was specifically a part of. The changes I started to see were the language in which our ministers were using to address myself and my peers, and trying to direct us to essentially start like seriously dating each other in hopes to like find marriage and like build these like long lasting relationships in the church, you know, eventually start families and that kind of thing. And I've never experienced this before because they've never brought this to me. I've never been a part of, you know, a situation where I can now start like seriously dating in the church. So, you know, the pressure's on. People are starting to like couple up, like the encouragement dates are starting to get more intentional, because now people are like trying to get married. And it just like kind of switched like that, like during one specific Friday Devo, which is short for devotional, which was like our Friday night Bible social. I remember specifically the leaders were like basically saying like, y'all need to start thinking about your future. And you know, we've built this like brother sister camaraderie, but like all in all, you're gonna find your partner like within these walls. So, you know, start being like open-minded and open up your heart to like the possibilities. And I'm like freaking out because I'm like, yo, I don't even know if I want to be with a dude. Like I'm not there, you know, like I'm really not there. And like the pressure's on. So they start to make me feel mad awkward because I'm in turmoil trying to figure out my sexuality. Like, I know now for a fact that I like girls, but that's not aligning with the criteria that I've, you know, accepted, right? I chose this lifestyle, but like, I felt like I was like outgrowing it, or it and just starting to really like realize maybe how far my wings can spread. During this, I also start to see a shift in the way that my sexuality is being viewed, not in terms of being questioned for being queer or anything like that, but more so in the role that it plays as a woman of God. So, for example, as you know, I had to cold turkey walk up to people, invite them to church. We all had quotas. Like, we were told heavily to just keep bringing people to church, everyone that you can speak to. And I will never forget, a woman specifically had said, the reason you are beautiful is to attract men, to bring them to God. This scarred me because I felt like fish bait, you know, like the prompt and the pep talk was always, you know, like if a guy is interested in you from the world, you know, make that introduction to your brother, and then your brother can like handle it and then set up some Bible studies, you know, like, but I was told to my face that I was like a flower that attracts bees, you know? And this started a really like warped sense of like self, and started to taint my idea of my own self-image and identity, because it just felt like wrong, you know? Like I don't know. It just made me feel so uncomfortable. So there was that. Another thing that another sister had said to me was, and I quote, "I'm not saying flirt to convert, but women have a different charm. And this is something you've been given so that you can bring people and men to God." I had never heard of the phrase flirt to convert. It's very much giving cult. And I started to feel really uncomfortable with the way that this was being framed, and this like hidden value that they were putting on like the way I physically looked. And this was honestly really disheartening. And this started a huge disconnect where I was like, y'all, like, whoa, pump the brakes. Like, I'm not feeling that at all. But it's like, in the same breath, my role is literally, it's my responsibility to protect my brothers by dressing modestly, by doing everything in my power to not make them struggle, because that's my duty as a sister, as a disciple. So I start to mentally detach from this, because I'm realizing that like this mentality, this culture, these interactions that I'm having are making me really, really depressed, while I'm still trying to sort out how I feel about studs. And like, you know, like this is all new, and I'm just feeling like everything that I know is baggage while I'm trying to untangle this whole thing. So even though I'm feeling all of these feelings of turmoil, like this is just not working anymore, I'm absolutely terrified to leave. Because again, if I leave, now that I've made this super important commitment with the baptism and, you know, all of the studies and stuff, like I'm definitely going to hell now. Like, and this is terrifying me, because I'm also wrestling the like internal damnation thing with like being queer, right? Now, I'm now working at American Apparel, and because I'm in different parts of the city, I'm meeting more and more queer folk as the time goes on. I meet one particular person who introduced me to a lesbian couple who were honestly some of the best friends that I had. They were so sweet, they were mad cool, they were Black, they were like together for a long time in a like long-term committed relationship. They were just so cool and so kind. These were the first friends I had in the community, and they were fantastic. So they come to me one day and they're like, look, hey, we know that you're exploring, that you are, you know, becoming more adventurous, and we want to like take you out. Like, let's go to a gay party so you can like just like experience it with us, with like people that you trust. And I'm just like, I'm like really excited hearing about this, but I'm so nervous. So I'm like, okay, that sounds cool. But I'm like, Friday, like, oh, I have Devos on that night. Like literally I have Bible study on that night, and like everyone's there. So that's gonna be kind of hard to like sneak out from, you know? We're finally, you know, getting to the Friday, and I know that I'm gonna have to lie to leave Bible study and meet them somewhere else downtown so that we can go to the party together, because I don't know where we're going, right? I'm a +1. So I'm like, okay, I gotta think about like what I'm gonna say. So, you know, keep in mind, I live with people who snitch. And I start to kind of develop my plan. So I'm just gonna say, like, you know, I got like a work thing the next day, and like it's kind of far, so I'm gonna stay over at like a friend so that we can go together. That way it's like, okay, like that makes sense. And again, it's frowned upon to sleep at someone else's house that's not from your church, but like it's a work thing. Like, don't mess with my money. I still gotta tithe and give money to the Lord, so I gotta go to work. I tell my roommates, like, hey, like, you know, maybe tell them like Wednesday or Thursday night, so like I start to like plant the seed. Oh my gosh. And I remind them, like, you know, like, remember what I told you, right? So like we're all on the same page, you all know, right? And they're like, yeah, okay, cool, like what friend is it? And I was like, oh, it's just, you know, like, it's a friend from work, you know, she's cool, like, don't worry about it. And I'm like, okay, like it's probably when the suspicion started, but they're like, alright. So then Friday pulls up, right? So I got my outfit. I had a bodysuit, I had some shorts, I think I had some ankle boots. I got it all in my bag, but like no one knows. No one knows I have like my outfit, okay? But keep in mind, I also got my Bible in my knapsack, alright? Like, and my Bible has like notes in the ledger, it's highlighted up, it looks like a well-read textbook, okay? Like, I got ankle boots and bodysuits, and then a very used Bible. This is so bad. So we're like, you know, Devo starts around like 7:30, and I know I'm gonna meet that at around like 10-11. I'm like, okay, if I time this correctly, I'll be able to slip out without having too many questions. Like maybe even my discipler won't realize, like, you know, like I can just like cut real quick. So I wait, and I wait till we're all in the message, because we have a sermon every Friday just for us. And I sit toward the back on purpose, and I signal to my roommates at around like, I don't know, like 9ish or something, and I'm like, hey, like I gotta go, like I gotta go, like I gotta be there by a certain time, you know, I don't want to be traveling too late. And they're like, oh, like, okay, like now, like you're gonna go now? I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna go, but I'll see you tomorrow, like don't worry about it. And they're like, okay, all right, love you, sis, like see you tomorrow. And I'm like, yeah, don't wait up. And yo, leaving that Devo, leaving that meeting, I'm sweating. I'm like nervous, guilty, and excited all at the same time. All my adrenaline is going for like all the right reasons, and then all the wrong reasons all at the same time. I'm like an emotional mess, but like I'm more excited than anything to like just finally go and get my experience on, you know? So boom, I get out of there, no one even like bats an eye. So we take the subway down to the stop, because the club at this time is like right outside of a subway station, and right as you exit the subway station, you see the line to go into the club. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like this is the first time I'm seeing queer people, like more than one or two or three, you know, like, and they're all like beautiful. Many Black queer folk frequented this party in particular, so this is the first time I'm really taking it in. Like my homegirls, well, I almost said their names. My homegirls are like, yeah, this is Kay, and this is her first time coming to Yes Yes Y'all, and you know, like we're just gonna show her a good time. And everyone in the line is like, oh my gosh, girl, like welcome, you're gonna have so much fun, you're gonna dance, you're gonna sweat, like don't even worry, it's gonna be cool. And like the whole time, like there's just like this exciting energy that's like outside of the club. Whoa, like where am I? Is this like a portal? Like where am I right now? And we finally get up to the front of the line, show them my ID, we walk in, and I'll never forget, it's like it happened in slow motion. Like you have like, you know, this dark like open space with bars against the back, and there's people just dancing like I've never seen before, dancing up on each other, winding up themselves by themselves, on the wall, on you and you and you, like everyone is just mingling and like intermixed, and just like there's just this excitement and electricity in the air, and I've never seen anything like this in my life. I've never seen so many like colorful people, and like girls are, you know, asking me to dance with them. I'm like, oh shoot, okay. This would end up being a reoccurring event in my life for like a few years, right? Like I said, the party happens every third Friday of the month. So as soon as it's done, y'all, I'm sad that it's done because I already want the next one to start up. Like I'm wanting it to be the next day, you know, but I gotta wait a month, exactly a month now. But I'm like, okay, bet. Now that I know this is here, it's over for y'all. Like it's over. Y'all, why did the phone stop recording while I was telling my story? So you get an outfit change and let's just keep going. So now I go home and I feel like I've gotten away with murder, straight up. I'm like, first of all, I can't believe I pulled that off. And I've just had the best time of my life. Again, I do the same thing where I tell my roommates, like, I have this thing, you know, I gotta stay over, so I'm gonna leave a little bit early, but, you know, I'll see you tomorrow. And they're just like, okay. We go to the second yes y'all now, and I just noticed this girl staring at me, and I'm like, she's staring at me, you know, and I'm just like, okay. You know, we introduce ourselves, and when the night ended, we, you know, wanted to stay in contact, so we exchanged numbers. Again, I make the return back to the commune, you know, back to my sister's household, and I'm playing it cool, y'all. I'm playing it cool. Again, I'm just asking God, like, please don't hate me for this. Like, I really owe it to myself to figure out who I am. I feel so strongly that this is what I need to do at this time, which was confusing my mind because, you know, I've been brought up to believe that like this is not what you do, and I'm just pleading and bargaining with God constantly every day. So now I'm in a full-blown relationship, but I'm keeping it super low, you know. I was coming home from work again. I was now promoted to a store manager, my own American Apparel downtown, and a lot of my staff was queer. A lot of people that worked for the company were queer, and we were going home together after work on the subway, our separate ways, but you know, we were commuting the same way, and someone from church saw me with this queer presenting individual and sounded the alarm bells. This got back to my discipler, who then confronted me about it and made me do this. She called a house meeting for myself and my sisters that I was living with and made me confess everything. Now, I was reluctant at first. I was like, okay, I'm not telling you nothing. But then when my parents were mentioned, like it would get back to them, that was the last thing I wanted. I just didn't want to disappoint them. And I wasn't ready to have that conversation with them, you know? So I agreed reluctantly. My discipler sat us down, and instead of her briefing my roommates, she made me start from the top and tell them everything about being bi-curious, about sneaking out, about partying, living a double life, listening to sinful music, being in a relationship. And the silence in the room was deafening. I'll never forget feeling just like so ashamed because they made me feel ashamed. I was lucky that they didn't make me do this in front of the church, but I assumed that would probably look badly on their leadership, perhaps. But what is burned into my memory are the looks of disgust. And one of the roommates from that moment on, from that talk, barely looked me in my eyes for months to come because she was, quote, so disgusted by my behavior. I really don't want to cry on camera. So it was painful. Then the rest of the sisters found out in my ministry. I don't know if the brothers knew. They certainly didn't take it up with me, but the sisters found out, and I started to become bombarded with questions. How could you do this? All of a sudden, everyone wants to share scriptures with me that address homosexuality and address righteousness and sexual immorality and just all of these things. All of a sudden, everyone has a scripture they want to share with me. I was officially disfellowshipped. There's a term in this church called falling away. And when you fall into sin or choose the world over the kingdom, you as a disciple are then labeled as fallen away because you've fallen away from your faith in God. And I was no longer a member. My privileges were taken away, like the privilege to sing on Sunday with the worship song ministry. Wasn't allowed to sing on the church anymore. Wasn't allowed to go on encouragement dates. I lost the ability to really move around freely without being questioned. And I was told that if I wanted back in, I would have to study again with this specific set of studies called restoration studies, which would restore my soul and faith in God. And I pushed back. I handed them my own Bible, the one that had all the highlights and all the notes in the ledger, and showed them my Bible and said, show me where it says in here where I'm doing wrong. Show me where it says in here that you're better than me. Be the one to throw the first stone since you're so perfect, And I challenged, and they did not like that. You are not supposed to push back when you've fallen away. You're already in eternal detention until you decide to shape up and, get restored. But I was just sick of it. I was sick of it. I was traumatized. I didn't want to pretend and play house anymore. I still loved God and was still wrestling with my faith and wrestling with God and just, our own relationship. But my walk with Him was my own. And everyone was trying to tell me how I should walk and what path to take and how to do it. And I was reaching a breaking point where I was not regretful for the fact that I had taken time to explore who I was and be true to myself after being depressed and stifling and muting that for so long. It was night and day. The love bombing was gone. It was almost like I was a pariah, like I was the mold on the bread that they were trying to scrape off. Now, I was kind of in limbo. I didn't really give them a full answer for a bit, and I said, okay, fine, I'll just do the restoration studies, but I'll let you know when I'm free. Because at this point, I was just trying to get them off my back because I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do. I wanted to leave, but I didn't know the safest way to do that. And I needed some time to think. I needed some breathing room because everyone was just on my case. One of my roommates is dating someone very seriously. So because this apartment is under my name's on the lease, just letting you know I'm terminating the lease. You have 3 weeks to find somewhere else. And sorry, but not sorry. This household is dissolved. This is not working. And honestly, I have my own life and I need to go. At first I'm scared because I'm oh my gosh. Now I'm going to have to explain to my parents, the household dissolved. I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen, honestly, right? This is the first place I've lived outside of my childhood home. I find a place. Leading up to the days of move out day, it was so uncomfortable. So uncomfortable. It was bad. It was bad. But I got out. I didn't see those girls again. I left on a Thursday. The next church meeting was a Friday, and I didn't go. Sunday came, church service, I didn't go. I was a no-show from that day on, after I moved out. And I knew I wasn't going to go back. Of course, I spent a lot of time pondering my decision, wondering if I made the wrong decision, but I was not happy. And I had to do what was right for me. It was a hard decision, but one of the best decisions I've ever made in my life. And I don't regret that at all. It was a complicated time for me after wrestling my feelings with losing my community. I was mourning my life, mourning what I thought my future was going to look like, because I put it all through this lens that this church you know, had on these glasses that they put on me from when I was young, and going against the grain was scary, and I was just very confused, and I ended up being very angry at God for a long time because I had misconstrued all of these things coming from him when it was just people in his kingdom or in his church, this cult that used him and weaponized him against me in a way that wasn't meant to happen. You know, years later, I spent a lot of time after that ignoring God, honestly, because I felt like he left me. I now have a stronger relationship with God than I've ever had before. My parents are so phenomenal, and they've completely accepted me when I officially had come out to them. And I was just met with so much love and acceptance immediately. Everything happens in its own time. And I know I was really confused and really scared and sad and like feeling lost for many years after that, as I just, you know, went head on into the world. But all of that brought me to where I am now. And I could not have done it without God, but on our own terms, because this is our walk together. And I'm just so grateful for my family and ultimately this journey that is definitely unconventional, but it's mine and might mirror yours or someone that you know. And that's why I will continue to tell my story, as difficult as it is for me to relive. And it's helped me process it a little bit more. Even 10 years later, it's still difficult, but I will continue to be authentic and to not be afraid of who I am. Embrace who I am while I embrace God. And I guess I urge you to do the same. If you've made it this far to this point in the video, thank you for sitting through my transparency, this journey that we took together. Let me know down below if you enjoyed this story. But I love y'all. So happy that you're here with us. From D and I, thank you for supporting this channel. And I guess we'll see you in the next one. Don't forget to subscribe, hit that like button, leave a comment, all that good stuff. Let's stay connected. Let's keep having these conversations and keep finding community in one another, because you're not alone. You think you are, but you got me. So until next time, stay safe, be blessed, drink your water, and mind your business. Peace out, y'all. Also, last thing, D and I are about to drop our Pride vlog, so keep an eye out for that. Bye. Peace.